Alright, hi everyone. Today we are here with Emille and Nyree Porter. We are going to talk about our opposition to the government's indiscriminate use of the Class 9 ecotoxin 1080 and what is happening with that. Would you guys please introduce yourself? Emma, would you like to start and give us a little bit of background on where you're coming from with this issue and yeah.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko te rāmara o te maunga, ko te huki anui a kupi te moana, ko wharanaki te awa te whenua tapuhoki, ko tūwhātero te wairiri, ko matahauru te waka, ko kupe te tangata, ko nāpui ni tonga te iwi, ko te huku te Hapu, ko Pāti Arawa te marae, ko Puhipi Leaf Rau ko Warau Morgan o ka tupuna, ko Howard Leaf toku mātua, ko Mera Leaf Ahau. So my involvement started when I was started working when I was younger in lands and surveys, and they were still using toxin 2,4,5-T, which is Agent Orange, and we could take it or leave it. Of course, most of us left it because we understood the damage that did in Vietnam. And during investigation of that toxin, I came across 1080 and saw that that was even worse, and it was being used here too. I moved about 5 years after that to the west coast, and the forestry had just been disbanded then, and Lands and Surveys was amalgamated into what's now called DOC. The Forestry Service was the biggest user of 1080 prior to that time, and it continued on with DOC. They were distributing it on the coast quite heavily then, and that's just increased in my time living there, and I've been on the coast now for over 30 years. The real crux came was when I was living in Barrowtown. I'd moved up the west coast from South Westland and had started teaching in the local school at Barrowtown, and I'd been asked to go there and do some te reo and a bit of tikanga, and of course living right near the ngahere, it was the classroom that I preferred to use. When they initially came to poison our ngahere, we resisted them and stopped them because the definition of water catchment was the key to that, being that it was the same definition as in the dictionary. 5 years of lobbying brought us to 2007. During that period, my wife and I had a child, a daughter, and they came back in 2007 with a new water definition or catchment definition of 1 kilometre by 50 metres. So they then proceeded to go about their business of poisoning our ngahere. At that time our daughter was 3.5, and we would invite her into our bed in the morning, as you do, to share the morning with her and say we'll have a wee snuggle and a snooze, and of course we just all crack up laughing because the morning chorus was so loud there was no way you would go back to sleep. Subsequent to the poisoning, the bird activity increased dramatically, of course, not only after the poisoning but during pre-feed, with about double the number of birds just being frightened by the helicopter noise, and then 10 days later when they did the actual poisoning, increased to 4 or 5 times the amount of birds in our area in the bush where we live, to a noise that was no longer a joyful or happy noise but a calling of distress by those birds every day. It was heartbreaking. It brought us to tears nearly every day, and it just got worse and worse, and our tears became even more as the bird noise died away over that period to almost nothing. And 11 years later, that is still the case. They had a 10-year consent at that period. On the 2007 drop, a friend and I went through the ngahere and we tried to find anything that was dead. We had our own program running called RAPS program at that time, which was the locals captured possums, rats, and recorded those numbers. We knew they were very low and told the operators, which was DOC and TB free. They went ahead anyway. We had, in that noisy cacophony of birds, also rats, stoats and possums existing and coexisting in that environment happily. After that drop, we went through, monitored our ngahere to see what we could find, and found 2 blackbirds and a rat. That was all. As well as doing that, we went through and cleared all the waterways that we could of the people's supplies, which were there around about 43 water takes from the bush, and we took considerable amount of pellets out of people's water systems that we could find. I then proceeded to return that toxin to the owners at Parliament and put it on their steps, asking the question, if you're telling us this is safe in our ngāhere and we can drink our water and we can eat our kai and use our medicine, then I'm asking, is it safe on your steps that you don't have to drink, you don't have to eat, and that you don't use for your medicine? They subsequently, one of the charges they brought against me was endangering the public. But one thing from that was that they didn't come back again through that 10-year consent. So it was enough to make them stay away, which we were happy with for us, but it didn't help the others around us. Last year, Nick Smith made a decision in the Brook Valley Sanctuary where he made a change to the legislation which allowed an operation to be carried out without regional council consultation with the public. We talked to the same politicians, one of them being Damien O'Connor, who I know, and with the initial operation in our ngāhere in 2007 told him there'd be consequences if he didn't stop them from doing that. So last year when Nick Smith changed the legislation to allow aerial operations to be carried out with no consultation with public, we informed those MPs that that was tantamount to the government attacking the citizens, because the citizens had no voice to stop that from happening. Damien was informed too, if they went ahead with the operation, which they basically said they're going to come back to our ngāhere and do another one in Barrowtown, which we viewed as basically pulling the finger at us, just saying they could do it. Damien ignored that warning and didn't stop them from doing it, and as a consequence my friend Alan Gurdon and I decided to embark on this hikoi, and during that process of the hikoi we've captured the feeling that we thought was there. We could feel that time was changing and people were opposed on a large scale through this country, and the observations that I've made as you walk, you can see the responses from the people, and the range of people responding were from young to old and from every culture and every walk of life. And the thing that I noted quite strongly from that the pro people that were flipping the bird, or even there was very few that gave actual verbal abuse, apart from one person that actually tried to run me over, was very, very small. I would put it at under 10% easily, and so they gave me a very good measure of the people that are opposed to the use of this toxin in our country now. And that's keeping in mind that it is registered by the UN as a chemical weapon, and it's been noted by the FBI as a terrorist weapon. And well, that's basically the story for me. My classroom had been closed with the use of it in our ngāhere, and I haven't been able to take I haven't had a tuna from our bush in the West Coast for 14 years, because I don't feel confident in taking them, because I know the action of the poison within those within the tuna. And Ella and I no longer take meat from the bush because we know where we can go anymore. We get around about 80 to 85% of the aerial crops, and I relate that quite strangely enough to a comment that Helen Clark made about West Coasters, and being that she was a Labour Party person seems quite incongruous to everything, being that she called West Coasters feral, and there was a notable increase in the use of this toxin on the West Coast after that statement, which seems to be able to be read that she meant that we were feral and that she wanted to poison us as a people.